Welcome to the Joy of Leadership podcast on KMozart, brought to you by Cobblestone Wine. I'm your host, Shar McBee. In a moment, you'll meet our guest, Suze Orman, who is undeniably America's most recognized expert on personal finance. First, we begin with today's leadership secret, Dharma. Dharma is a Sanskrit word that loosely means to do the right thing. When you do the right thing, you will be protected. You will have power. It gives you courage. When you don't do the right thing, it makes you weak. People often ask, what is my great work? If you do the work in front of you greatly, ethically, it will lead you to your great work. Dharma is about living the life you were meant to live. It can be as simple as not comparing yourself to the person next to you. Dharma is about standing in your truth, as you will hear from our guest, Suze Orman. Suze is a #1 New York Times bestselling author, 2-time Emmy Award winner, and as the host of the very popular Women and Money podcast with her partner, KT, Suze has nearly 22 million downloads. Suze, thank you so much for being here. I'm so thrilled to have you as part of my new Joy of Leadership podcast. And I wanted to start with, in all of my leadership trainings, I always include some yoga, a little bit of the physical and a lot of the philosophy of yoga. And being flexible yet strong is such an important thing, I think, for a leader. And I've seen you over the years so many times, Suze, where you can, through highs and lows, you are so flexible and you're so capable of enduring. And even in the hard times, you do the right thing. I think this is something that'd be so helpful to anyone who's new at leadership. So can you give some thoughts on that?
Well, two things, Shar, that go into that. The first thing is, seriously, when things are going good, when things are going bad, you have to really believe that everything happens for the best. Because you can't even have those words, good and bad, be part, in my opinion, of your vocabulary. Because then you always have the ability to praise something or blame something. And true grace in life is really above praise and blame. So first, to be a leader, you have to have faith. And you have to have faith, not only that everything happens for the best, but you have to have faith in who you are. And therefore, you have to know who you are, because you just said it's important to do what's right. But right for who? Right for your bottom line, right because it will appear that everybody will love you more, or right for you. And when you stand in integrity, when you know who you are, then you know what's right for the universe. You know what will help others, even if it might not help you in that moment in time. Because when you always do what's right versus what's easy, the outcome always is one where everybody gains and nobody in the end loses, which is the quality, in my opinion, of a good leader, because you always emerge on the right side of goodness. Courage is a true quality that a leader needs. The courage to be okay about being criticized. The courage to be okay if everybody doesn't love you. Shar, one of the greatest sayings in life is that the elephant keeps walking as the dogs keep barking. So I let all the dogs bark as much as they possibly can. And I just keep walking. For those of you out there who want to be leaders, for those of you who just want to be leaders in your own lives, for those of you who want to lead where you want your money to go, for those of you who want to have more, the key is you have to be more. You have to know your own self-worth, because without self-worth, net worth will never be what it's meant to be.
Oh, Suze, that's so beautiful. And so you've helped me so much. A long time ago, you told me to just remember that I always have enough. And it's so true. I mean, it's just turned out to be totally, totally true. And yet people would poo-poo, oh, that kind of philosophy, whatever.
Yes, but what's important with that, Shar, is that a leader, their words, their thoughts, and their actions have to be one. You cannot lead anybody else or yourself if you think one thing yet say another. You cannot lead if you think one thing, say another, or feel another. You have to have all three of those thoughts in one boat. You know, they always say the hardest thing in life to do is to jump a chasm in two leaps. And so many of us have
So
one leg in
true.
one boat and another leg in another boat. We have our professional life, we have our personal life in those two different boats. And if those boats start going in different directions, what's going to happen to you? So you have to put your whole life in one boat, and you have to be the master of that boat. You have to know where you want to go. You have to know how are you going to get there. And it all starts with your thoughts, your words, and your actions. Because listen, if you think you can't be somebody, oh, you never will be. If you think that you're never going to have money, oh, you never will. If you think you're never going to be the number one personal finance person in the entire world, you won't. And all of you have always got to remember right now, I'm 71. But when I was 30, I was a waitress making $400 a month, having had been a waitress for 7 years. And I knew nothing about money. You know, I never really got a grade above a C when I went to college. I never really thought any of that. But look at me today. So, how does that happen? I didn't grow up with money. I didn't marry money. I never had good self worth or anything. And it happened when you find a teacher or you find somebody in your life that can help you get to know who you are, maybe better than you have the ability to do so. You know, so for me, it really was rooted in a spiritual path. And that spiritual path led me to who I am to this day. And it keeps me being who I am to this day. Because without that, what do you really have? You really, in my opinion, have nothing.
A lot of what you're talking about is about energy. It's been said in every tradition. In the Upanishads, it says, as you think, so you become. In the Bible,
Mm.
it says, in the beginning was the word. Henry Ford said, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And so, Susie, you have endured. And I think that endurance is what gives you, well, they say if you do your dharma, it gives you power. It makes you powerful. In the story of David and Goliath, David was just this little kid with a slingshot, and Goliath was the biggest army and giant in the world. But David was doing the right thing. And Susie, I really think that's a lot of your success is that you have always told it like it is. You have always done the right thing. I've watched you. Anyway, can you give some advice to people? Because that's another issue that people who take on leadership roles is it's hard for them to endure because there's a lot of dips.
You know why, in my opinion, it's hard for people who are in leadership roles to endure? They're
Why?
leading others versus leading themselves. That they're not understanding the power that they themselves have to lead themselves through the ups and downs, to lead themselves through financial success and financial hardships, to lead themselves through getting older, to lead themselves through success versus failure, you know? And so they do their job. They stand up in front of people and they teach others with words of how to be a leader. But you can't teach with words. You have to teach with truths. And the reason that I've been so successful is I have never spoken in words ever. I've only spoken in truths. And if something is really true for me, it's true for every single person that's listening. And when somebody hears a truth, it resonates with them. It transforms them because you always have to stand in your truth.
Okay, just one more thing I want to ask you about, because I feel that people who actually rise up the ranks in a leadership role in a company or in their own company, they have to lighten up. And you are a really lighthearted person. I've seen
Yeah.
that. I mean, you always knew how to have fun. You still totally know how to have fun. So
I know as soon as we're done with this, everybody's waiting for me to get on the boat and go fishing. It's perfect fishing weather right now. What am I doing? Anyway, go on.
thank you. Thank you. Any advice on accepting people as they are or about lightening up?
Yeah, don't take things so seriously. Honest to God, because you never know when something really serious is going to happen. And, it's been no secret that over the past 2 years, I've had a tremendously difficult time with my health. 2 years ago, I had a surgery. You can look it up in People magazine if you want, right? That I had two choices, I was told. This surgery was going to lead either to a life ending surgery or definitely, best case scenario, a lifestyle altering surgery where they expected me to come out minimum a paraplegic and probably a quadriplegic. And so you never know. Now, obviously, that didn't happen. They're not exactly sure how, but that's besides the point. That again is grace in life, that everything happens for the best. But you never know when your life is going to change dramatically. And so you have to really be happy and have faith that everything happens for the best. And if you spend your time being heavy and being miserable and being whatever, when it's really not that bad, what are you going to be when you get news that's seriously bad? Seriously. So, the one key thing, and I'll never forget this, Shar, that started my big career, especially with Oprah, is that I was on the very first time the Oprah Winfrey show. She had gone over time and they had a minute left. That was it to interview me. So, of course, I sit down with her, right? And her question to me was very simple. What is the key to life? Now, all leaders need to know the key to life because if they know the key to life, they could be maybe happy, they could be a great leader. But that was Oprah Winfrey's question to me.
Oh my gosh.
And I looked at her and I said, Oprah, when you can be as happy in your sadness as you are in your happiness, then you know the key to life. And she looked at me and she said, oh, we're going to have to do an hour show on you. And that was the start of 30 1-hour shows on the Oprah Winfrey Show.
Wow, Suze.
It wasn't this heavy duty, da da da, and this and that. It was, can you just be as happy in your sadness as you are in your happiness? And if you are heavy, if you are miserable, why would anybody want to be around you? Their own lives are heavy. They're trying to figure out what to do. They're trying to make the best out of a situation. And you're, as a leader, adding to their misery because you're heavy. Stop being a leader because at that point, you're following the wrong key to life. Be happy. Make this world a better place. This world doesn't need your negativity. This world doesn't need your heaviness. This world needs your lightness and your love. And you're really wanting to have the best happen for all, including yourself.
Thank you, Suze Orman.
Wishing you the best is always my dear friend, Shar.
I appreciate this. I really do. And it's just such good advice for life. This is the Joy of Leadership podcast on KMozart, brought to you by Cobblestone Wine. I'm Shar McBee.